Well, this is a little different, but it just made me think of people like music soundtracks or whatever, and they're like, oh, we want the soundtrack to sound like this movie, and then you just get a bad copy of some other artist because you wanted that, and you just gave the artist this example, and then they lose their thought of doing something different because, well, they're going to lose their job if they don't do it or whatever, and then it just gets all, you don't get anyone doing anything original because it's all been done sort of like, they say it's been done and they want it done
the way that it's been done.
Yeah.
It's more done.
And
it really
or
is.
You
like,
do something good and then they're like, oh, we want to make a movie like that. It's like, well, you want to make it like this because this was original and cool and we came up with something new, and you're not going to do that. You just want to copy the new thing again.
Yeah, it's so AI. Like it's already the AI phenomenon of AI makes so much AI art that it all spans all over the internet, and AI art is now making AI art out of previous AI art.
Yeah.
Because there's more of that than anything else.
Yeah.
It's just like this what people are trying to do for some reason, and it only becomes intuitive and natural and all that if it embeds itself into their framework without them knowing it, which is what things like the symbolism of language and the way people refer to things in the world ends up as, which is unfortunately also built into the way that we have to do things in a marketing side of it to get it up to readers. And readers are also doing that because it's the only way you can find anything, because how else are you going to find anything?
Yeah, I want a book like this.
Like, so yeah, what do I type in? How do I ask? And, like, yeah, it's a funny cycle. So there's a cool, almost mental evolution and development that is going to be taking place for a while of just people like reflecting on how do they actually go back to their almost true sense of playfulness and all that not authenticity, because the authenticity is like the way they are perceiving things, but to be like, okay, like what are other ways that I could perceive things, and how do I filter through and not get bogged down, or not even bogged down, but like not get messy with the things that, like, what would I do if I wasn't there? It's almost like when about a few weeks ago, my mom referred to me as a ghost because I can't remember what she talked about, but I used to intentionally pretend I was a ghost, which was really cool. So it's like she just pointed out something that I used to actually intentionally do, which is if you have a world and you remove yourself from the world, then you can kind of see like where things are going well and where, like, what aspects of events or people or anything might need help, stuff like that, and you're not in it. So you can see things like really clear. And then you insert yourself back in, and then it's almost like by default, it's really easy to go, okay, this is where I am, where do I go from here? Like, what can I do from my position within all this, now that you have a clear perspective of all of the things that are going well and not going well, and like what can you do from there? And like I used to deliberately do that, and it was just really easy for me to not be better myself, but to make the whole world better through me. And that became kind of an intuitive thing eventually, but I used to intentionally do that. And then my mom called me a ghost. And it's almost like you got to do that with creativity of, cool, all these are here. Now what would it be like if I didn't know what a romance was? What would it be like if I didn't have terms like grimdark or cozy? Like, what would I do? What would I create if I didn't have this? And then you can remove yourself, figure out something, and then just kind of hop back into that framework, because all those tools are useful. It's good to have the words like cozy, grimdark, and the infinite other things like steampunk and silkpunk and whatever else. Those are useful. Those are tools that we just have in our repertoire and symbols, and we need more language to be more precise with language.
You just don't want to be stuck with blinders on in that.
Yeah.
This is all I can do.
Yeah. So like all that is great, but to be able to have the mental disposition and skill to remove oneself from it, to see what it all is, and then see what you would do. And then naturally, you can't stay in there forever of just like, what do I need to do? It's like, now I need to go back and like make a story. And then you enter the landscape of of the tools that you have to make creative stuff. You go back to pure creativity. What would I do? And then back into the thing where all of your tools are for making the creative stuff over and over. yeah, it's probably a skill that is. It'll need a word. We'll need a word for it. We'll need language to define these things eventually. Just like we've needed language to define all the other things at some point.